Okay, so I'm making my greens. I have turnip and collard greens mixed. I'm just now rinsing them. I went and I rinsed them with some vinegar, baking soda, and citrus juice. You want to hear a Black History fun fact about collard greens? When European slave traders had given collard greens to the slaves, they gave it to the slaves as a form of punishment. The green leafy plant was something that they did not know how to clean or cook. But unknown to the Europeans or the slave traders or whomever, the African slaves knew what this leaf was, or they had some knowledge of it. They knew how to cook it for long hours before eating it so that the poisonous gases that are in them would not make them sick. When the slave masters saw that the plant was able to eat, they went and took the collard greens back, or turnip greens, they took them back and tried to eat them themselves, but they didn't know how to eat them. So for revenge, a lot of the African slaves would sit there and just cook the collard greens wrong for the slave masters. Let them cook it for a few minutes and watch the slave master deal with it. It would cause them to have the bends, hurting, gas, everything, very badly. And it was a big joke to the captured slaves, a way of revenge. Fun fact. I have countless stories of my grandmother telling of how her family would do this with the white settlers. That's why collard greens need to be cooked, because of the gases inside of them. They have to have a pre-cook, pre-boil, something like that, and then they have to be cooked for very long periods of time, way more than 2 to 3 hours at some times. Most people and most cooking shows don't know that, but that's an African American history fact with food. And this is how you know who understands what real African American soul food is. It's ingrained in us and it's part of our history. I mean, there's reasons why we do this. I'm sauteing up some onions, peppers, celery, onions, garlic, all together. I'm going to put it inside my pot with my greens. It smells so good in here. I have my sauteed onions and vegetables in, and I have my ham bone. I'm getting this ready. It's in my crock pot. Now I have to go and pre-cook my collard greens and toss them in the crock pot. Sorry, my camera is dark because I'm doing this on my phone and I don't feel like go getting the light. But anyway, you see how I'm pre-boiling my collard greens? You're always supposed to pre-boil or pre-cook your collard greens if you're putting them in a crock pot. You have to do that to let the gases come out of the collard greens. Only take a few minutes. You just boil them down for a few minutes or whatever till they whittle down, and then you can put them back into the crock pot. You can put them into the crock pot and let them cook for the next 4 to 6 hours. And that's what I'm doing now. Okay, you can see how I'm letting my greens just blanch down, only for like about 10 minutes. Just blanch them all the way down from when they were a big high pile. And that's all you need to do to let the gases come out, because once they deflate, that means the gases are coming out of them. You always do that whenever you're doing a crock pot thing of collard greens. You always pre-boil or pre-cook them, either in some oil or just let them boil out. And that's how you work the gases out so you don't get sick. A lot of people don't tell people this, and that's why a lot of people get sick off of collard greens or turnip greens or whatever. Just the same thing back in the colonizer days. They got sick just the same way. So this is how I'm doing them. Ham bone is the most prettiest ham bone I ever seen in my life. And I got some sauteed up celery, onions, and carrots, and peppers, and garlic paste. I'm going to season the whole pot up with some different seasonings. Not sure which ones I'm going to use, but I season them up with some seasoning, and then I put my greens in, and I let these cook for the next, 6 hours, because I'm going to be going out anyway, so I just let them cook in the crock pot. Okay, so I know I got my collard greens in the pot. I got some butter, some seasonings, cayenne pepper, black pepper, lemon pepper, all those seasonings. My ham bone, some pieces of ham, and I'm gonna cook this down for the next, I think, about 6 hours on low. I also put in a little bit of apple juice in here. Apple juice helps with bitterness in the greens. Since I'm using 2 different type of greens, I'm using collard and I think turnip green. And I just want to make sure that they are smooth tasting. And it always pairs good with the ham. So that's what I'm doing with this. So it'll be collard greens and ham tonight. Greens and ham tonight.